Like back.
So everything's good?
Yeah.
That work out for you?
Oh yeah, yeah, I got it in there.
Oh really?
Yeah, I appreciate all that.
Okay, she's not gonna, Kelsey, as well as not gonna do any other interviews with this. Are you?
Great.
Okay, she plays Natalie.
Yep, I got her already.
Incredibly stimulating. You know, I think people think they like to focus on the snow and weather. As a whole, it's just a very, it really is. It's
Everybody right here?
And then inside there's like I think we should still dream. Sorry to keep tapping your shoulder. Tell me what it was about this film that made you really want to be a part of this.
The first 10 pages of the script and the first 10 minutes with the director. The first time director that, I really didn't want to work with. So it's just his 10 pages and 10 minutes with him and Taylor Sheridan. That made me want to do the picture. And it trickles down to a lot of other themes and being a father and all these other things that I wanted to really address, but it was that man that it had to start with to then, trickle down into other things.
And what was it like working with Taylor on this film?
It was easy. It was a collective. It was a collaborative. It was it's like an engine requires all sorts of parts to operate, right? You have a big giant engine. If you don't have that 99-cent spark plug gapped just right, that engine is not going to fire up. Or if you don't have fuel, if you don't have this, everything is just as important as the next part of an engine. Same thing that it was on this movie. Everybody required to be their part and do their diligence to be the best they can be in what they do, and everyone supported that. And Taylor certainly supported me doing what I do, and then challenging him and his material that I love so much, but then I'll question it. And he'll respect me for questioning it. So it was always about, because I'm not questioning it just to question it, it was always about serving the story the best and the most honest it could be. And everyone was on board with that sort of principle. We all just wanted to make the most honest film we could make about loss on a reservation. The world and the landscape that this story is set in is extra important because of the fact that it's on a reservation and it goes unnoticed and it goes untalked about. That could be held true about a lot of things, but because of a people and a culture that should be celebrated and not stepped upon or ignored, that's why it's even more important to me in my eyes.
What was it about this film that made you really want to be a part of it?
The script and the character. I haven't really had an opportunity to play someone like Jane, and Taylor has an incredible ability to create scripts that are very forward-moving, that keep you on the edge of your seat, but they never lack a depth of character and they never lack a grounded story. And he has a hyper raw, realistic, authentic quality to his writing, to the worlds he wants to capture, and so I think a combination of all of those things.
Absolutely. And what was it like to work with Taylor on this film?
I'm excited to see him tonight. I haven't seen him in a while. He's a very direct communicator. He's well prepared. He is incredibly knowledgeable. He comes across as kind of like an intimidating, masculine energy, but he is like a highly intellectual and emotional person. So it's an incredible combination to have that and those qualities in a filmmaker, and that's why I think he has the ability to create stories that have been so captivating for so many audiences.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so can you tell me your character's name and who he is?
Well, listen, the character in this movie is he's very much a device. His name's Matt, but you're supposed to think he's one person, and then you find out he's very much somebody different. I'm not going to reveal too much because I don't want to mess with Taylor's beautiful writing and his directing. I can say that it's my second time working with Taylor. It's an honor to work with him. He's a consummate artist. He was an actor first, writer, director. He's just. His heart is huge and his soul is even deeper, and I'm honored that he called me, and I'd follow him anywhere.
And since this is your second time with Taylor, tell us what he's like as a director.
Well, listen, as you know, he was an actor, so he works with actors. He understands that language. He understands when to come on strong and when to back off. He gave me unbelievable amounts of freedom in this job, which I'm really grateful for. At the time, kind of horrified me, but he knows what he's doing. I think Taylor's going to be around for a long time, and I think he's going to be a very important director in the canon of American film.
And what was it about Wind River that made you want to be a part of this film?
Listen, Wind River is the third in the trilogy, right? Hell or High Water and Sicario. It was one of the most captivating scripts I've ever read. Like I said, aside from Taylor directing, I would do anything to be a part of this story and this script, and I think Taylor is a real force to be reckoned with, and I'd follow him anywhere. I believe in him with all my heart. He's a friend, and I care about him, and I think he's showing what he can do, not only as a writer, but as a director.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
If you can tell me your character's name and who she is.
Yes, I play Natalie, who is a young Native American girl surviving the elements of the Wind River Reservation. She's strong, she's young, she has dreams and hope for the future, I think, which is, makes it all the more devastating when you find out what happens.
And what was it about this film and the role of Natalie that really made you want to be a part of this?
It's such an important story. It's more than entertainment. It sheds light on the ever increasing crimes against Native women, and that there's really not a lot being done about it. And I think Taylor is really good about making a social film.
And there is that message at the end about how there's no statistics about Native American women. What do you think about putting that message at the end of the film?
I think it's really important, and I think the film goes beyond the numbers, and it represents women's lives. It shows you there are women's lives behind the numbers.
And what was it like working with Taylor?
He's great. He's a master storyteller, and I'm really lucky to work with him, and I'm excited I'm going to work with him again on Yellowstone. Looking forward to it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Tell me your character's name and who he is in the film.
I play Chip, the brother of Natalie, the girl who goes missing, and Chip is a character who's struggling with substance abuse.
And what was it about Chip and this movie that made you want to be a part of it?
I think it was a great script, and I like the story. I think it's an important story that this movie hopefully can shed some light on something that doesn't get very much press. So I think it's an important story, but I wanted to be a part of it.
And there's an interesting line in the film about how you either survive or surrender on a reservation. What do you feel your character did?
Well, I think he survived, but he's really, really struggling. And that's the reality of a lot of people on many reservations, is that that's a very real struggle. you know. So you know, just wanted to help tell that story.
And what was it like to work with Jeremy and Elizabeth?
Oh, it was great working with them. They're both awesome people. So you know, we had a good time working out in Utah. And, yeah, they're awesome.
And what about Taylor?
Taylor's great. I love working with Taylor. He's, you know, he really does a good job of getting what he wants out of you, you know, and he's easy to work with, and you know, he challenges you, and he's an amazing storyteller. So, you know, great to be able to be a part of his project.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a good night. Tell me your character's name and who he is in the film.
I play a character by the name of Martin Hansen. I play the father of the murdered girl.
And what was it about Martin, the character, and the film that made you want to be a part of this?
I think it was more the subject matter of the story, and as well as it's told by Taylor Sheridan, a character that's very emotionally pivotal for this particular story. You know, shedding light on an epidemic that exists on the reservation, and to be able to participate in that portrayal.
And there is that message at the end of the film about how no statistics exist now for women, Native American women. Can you tell us why that's important to be part of this film?
Well, it's very rarely a situation where you get to, you know, a filmmaker takes on the challenge of this kind of story. You know, it's on reservations about the indigenous people, but it's an extension of, you know, a colonization that my people have felt since, you know, the Europeans have gotten here. But in the smaller personal picture of what we're portraying, there's an epidemic, you know, situation of missing women, murdered women that have seen no justice, that have not really encountered much other than apathy and limited resources, you know, to investigate and bring justice for these families.
And knowing that Taylor is so passionate about these, what was it like working with him on this film?
Well, it's my second time with Taylor. You know, I'm very blessed to do that. First time director, I thought he was fantastic. You know, he used to be an actor himself before he got smarter. And so he has a real sensitivity for actors and a great way of communicating, you know, his vision to us.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Can you tell me your character's name and who he is in the film?
Certainly. My character's name is Sam Littlefeather, and I play one of the bad guys. There's quite a few bad guys. Great thing to be.
What is it about this film that made you want to be a part of it?
The depth of character inside of this film is very, very impressive. The depth of actual storytelling and the subject of the storytelling. There's a lot of things inside of this story that are things that I don't believe have been shown to the general public in a way that was promoted quite like this before. And I'm very, very honored to be a part of it.
You had a very intense scene with Elizabeth Olsen and Jeremy Renner. Can you tell me what it was like working with them?
Complete professionals. I have nothing but the ultimate level of respect for Jeremy. If you watch this guy when he's getting ready, you know, he's completely focusing on what he needs to do. He goes off by himself for a few moments. All right? Now, as a person who's watched a lot of other artists, I love seeing that. I love seeing the actual progression of watching them go from who they are into this character, you know? And Elizabeth is just one of the nicest people to work with that I've ever worked with. I had to have some very, very tough scenes with her, and she was a champ. She was totally a champ all the way through.
And what about working with
Taylor, the way I look at Taylor is he is somebody that has the ability to put little bitty things inside of the story for almost every member of the audience. When I watch a movie, sometimes I see the actual cinematography of it. I start seeing where the lighting is. I start seeing a lot of different things because I've been on the other side of the camera and my mind just starts noticing these things, right? there's never a moment inside of Taylor Sheridan's movies where I feel that. He has the ability to grab on to the power of the moment and keep it rolling, but still touch on something that's actually deep. That's a very, very rare talent, and I'm as well honored to be able to just know this man, but much less to work with him.
Great, last question. There's a line in the film about you either survive or surrender on a reservation. What do you think your character chose to do?
I believe that that's exactly what he was doing, was just surviving. And that's the reality of it. Was, in my opinion, the lesson of what that line means is not that that's all there is. It's that's what is generally looked at as all there is. Now, I actually come from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I grew up seeing a lot of things that are very, very similar to what you're going to see if you watch Wind River. And as a person that grew up inside of a reservation that's just right down the road from Wind River Reservation, I take it as there's an essence of me that has to protect what is real. I didn't have to protect anything in this film. I didn't have to argue about anything. I didn't have to try to stop anything from being this way or that way. Taylor knows cowboys because he lived as a cowboy himself. He knows Indians. He lived among my people on Pine Ridge Reservation. He lived on Wind River Reservation for a while. And there's some little bitty intricacies that he's weaved into all his stories. Like, for example, there's a time inside of Wind River where you're going to see a spider up in the mountains in a very, very snowy place. Now, your mind might not think, oh, what's that about, right? You just because it just happens and it just goes right on by and it just the story keeps moving, right? But for people that actually come from Pine Ridge Reservation, Wind River Reservation, Standing Rock Reservation, they're going to all see that as being involved with something to do with the trickster spider. And it gives them a little bit of a clue as to what's happening inside of the scene, right? And I'm sure that there's other things that I missed, that other people see, that I completely missed, that Taylor has weaved into the actual storyline. It's not very often I get to say that about something that I've read, much less I've worked on. So I'm completely honored.
Perfect. Thank you so much. What was it about this story that spoke to you?
Well, I mean, a lot of things. It's an exploration on grief. It's an exploration of a real study of a region of our country and people in our country that are ignored, that are exploited, and it's a story that really warrants being told.
And there's a great line in there about how you either survive or surrender on a reservation. In your research, is this how life is on reservations now?
It is, yeah.
And the desolation.
Yeah, all of the above, and engineered by our own government.
True. And I love that you added the fact at the end about how there's no statistics for Native American women. Can you tell us why you felt that was important to include at the end?
Well, I was trying very hard to find a statistic that really captured the magnitude of this issue. And in our research, we couldn't find a statistic because no one compiles them, and we realized that was the statistic.
And what makes Jeremy and Elizabeth perfect for these two roles?
I mean, I think it's evident when you see them. I don't know how to describe that.
Fair enough. One last question. Much of this film, it takes place in the outdoors in the snow, and you're dealing with a lot of elements. How was it shooting in that?
Well, that's always the greatest challenge, and yet God is the greatest gaffer. So you make that trade. The movie, it feels earned when you watch it because it was.
Hey, Vale here with an added bonus to this video. Now, just like me, I'm sure you love movies, and I've got some pretty interesting movie budget facts. if I do say so myself. Did you know that the movie Gravity was more expensive than the Indian Mars mission? Yes. Paranormal Activity cost less than $15,000 to make, but crossed over $193 million. The production of Disney's film Tangled was more expensive than Avatar's production. Best Picture Oscar winner Moonlight was made for only $1.5 million. There hasn't been a Best Picture winner with a budget that low since Rocky. Napoleon Dynamite had a budget of only $400,000, and John Heder was paid only $1,000 for his role as Napoleon. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides officially holds the record for the most expensive movie ever made, with a budget of $378.5 million. Okay, so if you want to watch more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you receive the videos the moment they are online. Bye bye!